Welcome to part one of the qualitative analysis track, coding qualitative data. So we're going to look at the thematic coding process. Then we will identify key phrases and patterns, and we'll do a sample walkthrough. So to recap, what is qualitative data? This is data that is categorical or non-numerical. It can be nominal, which is named categories, or ordinal, which is named categories with implied order. So where can we get qualitative data? Qualitative data is often procured through interviews, surveys, diary studies, content analysis, home and location tours, among other things. Interviewing is a really strong option for collecting qualitative data because you're going to get your maximum info for time spent, and that's because you have the freedom to maneuver the conversation topics and ask follow-up questions. So with an interview, you don't have to worry about coming away with it with misunderstandings or with missing information details that you were hoping to get because you will be face to face with this person and having a conversation and can talk to them and often like review records such as recordings or notes. The downside to interviewing is that people typically have pretty bad event recall. So even for events, specific details for events from just a few days ago, um, typically not well recalled, especially when we're talking about routine events, things like a specific time you sent an email or um, things like that are very, very poorly recalled. So interviewing a person might not get you the best detail on those types of things. People are also pretty bad at estimating frequency. So how often did you open Facebook? It is the detail that often fails to come through on interviews. Another really popular topic option is surveys. So surveys are great because you get a lot of data really fast. And you also get insight on very specific behaviors because it's there are options and there's not really ability to elaborate. So that can give you an inkling on broader patterns that might be a little bit harder to identify from an interview because the interview gives so much information and doesn't have perhaps as much focus as a survey does. The downside of surveying is that it is very superficial. So you only get information on the things that you specifically ask for, and you're not going to get follow-ups. So you don't get to, qualify things or ask for specifics on that information. And you also have to be very careful about your participant population. So if you have a survey about student life, it's very important that your survey is delivered and is met with a student community and not with, let's say, like a retirement community. Thematic coding is the way by which we will take all of that wealth of information and pull out the valuable information to our research questions. So first we will gather the data, then we'll read data cover to cover. So you're going to go through it from start to end, maybe multiple times. From there, you'll have the ability to identify links and themes between data from one interviewee, let's say, to another. From there, you'll go into an intensive reading to identify all relevant themes. So, from gathering data, reading the data, and getting familiar with it, thinking to yourself while you're reading what are some common themes we're seeing, and then going back and really digging through this data, these interviews, these surveys for relevant themes. When you're wanting to identify these relevant themes in intensive reading, there's a list of questions that were posed by Sharmaz in a 2003 publication. And that's to ask, what is going on? What are people doing? What are they saying? Um, what do these actions and statements take for granted? And how do structure and context support, maintain, impede, or change these actions and statements? So thematic coding is likely going to be a very cyclical, um, very repetitive process where you will identify themes and links, perform intensive reading to find all instances of this theme or link, and go back and start over and over and over again. So what does raw qualitative data look like? It's a lot. It's very descriptive and it requires really strong organization and relationship connections. So for example, one way that people will do analysis is, for example, affinity diagrams. Well, this is not an analysis necessarily. This prepares you well to perform analysis. So um, in this particular example, this going from the data, this person made a bunch of sticky notes, um, put them on the board, and then over time organize these sticky notes by idea. So let's talk a bit. So grounded theory or affinity diagrams. This is going to help you organize large volumes of qualitative data, and it's going to represent the relationship between these different ideas. It's great for getting holistic explanations of sort of very tedious and detail, and it's really great for brainstorming or for coming up with more ideas. So creating an infinity diagram, again, we're going to gather the data, and then each idea is going to get a data card, or like in that example, a sticky note. Then you're going to group these data cards based on affinity. So if you come up with an idea and you say, if you look at these two ideas and you're like, wow, these are really alike, you might group them, and then you'll label the groups based on that affinity, what the affinity between them is, and then you'll probably want to go and make groups of groups, and this will make more sense with an example. Affinity diagrams can help you to perform what's called inductive hypothesis generation. So uh, at at this like ground level, creating the data cards, um, individual level, as analytic categories emerge, you pull data or like examples from those categories together. Then you'll compare them and think about what items belong and don't belong in each sort of category that you're brainstorming up, um, and how they might also be linked. And then finally, you're going to use relationships among the different categories you've developed to create these theoretical models, to create larger groups that stand out among the larger body of data. So here's some rules to go by. When you are putting together your data cards, and starting to group them, you don't want more than 5 cards per group. If you have more than 5 cards per group, you might want to think about um, sort of your design question and how you've organized things, and how something might be better broken up. When you're grouping the cards, which this is going to be called your first level groups, everything should be in first person because you are still very much focusing on individual experiences. This should summarize similarities. Second level groups will be in third person, and this is for larger trends and should include multiple participants. So this fits when you think about going from a data card to groups of data cards to groups of groups, right? We focus on ideas and then on first person experiences around these ideas, and then on um, larger trends, larger common experiences with these themes or ideas. So let's do a little walkthrough here. Um, we're at the data card stage, we're going through some experiences, and we're seeing, let's say, like 4 emergent lines regarding listening to music. This first person says, skip, too fast, skip, too slow, skip, skip, skip. Okay, this one's okay. I want to listen to something newer than this. I'm tired of listening to 80s music. As soon as a Dylan song comes on, I have to play the whole album. I was playing my music on a random, and all of a sudden a country song came on. So then I switched to searching genre and to listening to other country music. So these are all ideas around music, but let's figure out relationships. Let's think about some emerging themes here. So the first two are both about people who don't want to listen to what is currently playing, right? The first one is skip, 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 skip. The second one is, oh, I'm tired of listening to what we're listening to. Let's put on something else. So your theme, your code might be, or like your emerging theme might be, I want to play music that is different from the currently playing song in some way. The second two talked about, oh, I heard a this artist song, now I want to play his whole album. Oh, I heard a country song and all of a sudden I just wanted to listen to just country music. So the emerging theme here might be something like, I want to listen to music like that is like the currently playing song in some way. So you have two different groups, people who are not happy with what's currently playing and people who are happy with what's currently playing. So now let's think about how you might relate these two categories within a larger body of data. So both of them have to do with music, and both of them have to do with what music we would like to be listening to. So you could say that the larger theme that covers both of these is music often inspires other music that is related to the currently playing song. From this, you could do a number of things. You could talk about um, you could brainstorm ideas for new music playing platforms that have an algorithm, for example, that functions on a person's affinity. And they could change that affinity from like historical, which looks at their past playing, to maybe more of a daily affinity, which is like, oh, today this person has listened to a ton of country music. Let's keep playing country music. Whereas other people might be more interested in an actually like random play. And so maybe a music platform that is adjustable to what the user's affinity that um, day is could be something you could brainstorm from this. So the idea of having thematic coding and arranging it like this is to generate hypotheses, it's to generate new ideas, it's to brainstorm, it's to be able to bring a group of people into a room and talk about these findings and potentially come up with something meaningful from this wealth of data that in any other situation would be so overwhelming, you really couldn't pull anything else from it.